mindful breathing exercise. Again, let yourself comfortable, relax, and just breathe in normal, naturally, and keep your attention mind watching the breath mindfully and being aware of that. Then we can try to contemplate as long as we have the ignorance. That ignorance will give rise to strong attachment to certain objects, towards certain objects, strong aversion and anger towards certain objects. And due to such attachments and anger, we cannot find inner peace, inner happiness. Our mind will be very disturbed by those feeling of emotions. Also, that will give rise to many others feeling emotions, will lead us be too wary, fearful, resentment, hatred, jealousy, all of that, and many others that will disturb our mind even more. Not only it will disturb our mind, but when we are overwhelmed and overpowered by such emotions, feelings, we also more likely to hurt and harm others in those moments. and bring more pain and suffering into the life of others. Therefore, if you want to be less hurt, less harm to others, instead to be able to help others, as well as to find more joy, peace in our life, is crucially important to reduce those disturbing negative emotions as much as possible. In order to reduce and overcome or destroy those disturbing negative emotions, we need to meditate, contemplate, practice, or directly continues. For that, we need to learn how to do the practice, the meditations, so forth. For that very reason, I'm going to listen. Not only listen, but will try to integrate in my everyday life as much as possible from what I learn. May I ask coming here together to listen and to discuss, and may all of this become cause and conditions to obtain our highest potential fully awakened state, so we can be greatest help, benefit to each and every sentient being. Okay.
We'll do the praise of Shakyamuni, go to 3 times. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the flow destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened me, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Siddhartha, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Siddhartha, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be made, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the shocking land. I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. You did that once when you were here.
Yeah, I have no idea what it's mean.
Um,
As of some paper copies quickly.
Thank you. I'm so glad for it. Thank you. So we'll do a short $1 offering in English. This ground anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, for continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this is a good field and offering. May all living beings enjoy this pure land. And we'll do refuge and generating bodhicitta. We'll do it once in English and twice in Tibetan. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha of the Dharma of the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma. Now I become a Buddha and I benefit all sentient beings. Sangye Chodam Sukhe Chodam Ba Dam Chuba Duda Nityam Sushi Dagi Chögel Ge Personam Ji Yola Pincher Sangye Duba Sho Sangye Chodam Sukhe Chodam Ba Dam Chuba Duda Nityam Sushi Dagi Chögel Ge Personam Ji Yola Pincher Sangye Duba Sho. Okay, I do it from them. But I'm just on condition is what on the so we have been going through the right Seedling Sutras, which the main subject is dependent arisings. And after having explained the external outer dependent arising, then the Buddha explained about internal dependent arising, internal pure dependent link. And pure dependent link, there's a brief mentioning of that, and we're in a section where he explained a little more detail in that. And in that, so far we went through, due to the ignorance of the reality, then, we create actions of the karma. And when we engage in the actions to the body, space, and mind, then that moment you engage in any action, the imprint of that actions is planted into the consciousness. And that consciousness carried that the potential, the seed, imprint, and when the other cause and condition come together, then it produces the result in the form of new life, name and form at the time of conceptions. And then, once we have the conceptions, then, as our body started to grow over the days, weeks, then the sense faculties are slowly developed, And when 6 sense faculties are developed, then your consciousness is able to come in contact with the object through the senses. Your eye consciousness is able to come in contact
with the shape and color through the eye sense sources of faculty, and same with ear consciousness, nose consciousness, so forth. And when through, by depending on sense faculties, when your consciousness is able to come in contact with the objects, having come in contact with the object, then we started to distinguish and interpret the object differently. This is desirable, this is not desirable, this is attractive, this is not attractive, this is nice, this is not nice, so forth. On the based on that, then different feeling arises. You come in contact with the objects, and then your mind says, oh, this is nice, this is good, this is pleasant, this is attractive, this is nice. Then you get attachments, good feeling towards that object, pleasant feeling towards that object, nice feeling towards the objects. On the other hand, our mind, when you come in contact with the object, our mind, also interpret or distinguish, this is not nice, it's bad, unattractive, undesirable, unpleasant, and so forth. And then you have strong dislike, aversions, and then you have unpleasant feelings towards that. Unpleasant feeling arises in relation to that. And then if the objects, if we distinguish as neutral, then also the feeling also is neutral in relation to that object. So those three different feelings arises in relation to our contact, distinguishing differently, coming in the contact. And due to those feelings, then attachment arises. So we are in that section in terms of the where we talked about the link of ignorance, the link of karmic actions or formation, the link of consciousness, the link of naming form, link of the sense, six sense faculties, the link of contact, the link of feelings. And then we are in the link of the craving or attachments. So in terms of the Sutra itself, I think we're on page number 9. And that is where page number 9, and I think the fourth paragraph, I guess, where. So once you have those sensation or feeling here, instead of feeling, the translation of sensation, but feeling or sensation, releasing those different kind of sensation or feelings, three kind of feelings, sensation. And once you have those feelings, then taking delight in them, clinging to them, clinging to those feelings, as well as the objects of those feelings, taking delight in the feeling itself or objects of those feelings. And persist clinging to them is what meant by sensation cause craving. So that is how feeling create craving. Once you have feeling, then you want to hold on that. You don't want to let it go. You are clinging to that. You want to hold, you have strong attachment, strong desire, strong craving, not wanting to let it go, not wanting to be separate from that, and that kind of craving or attachments then lead to many pain and sufferings, many worry, fears. Then, we have worry of losing that. Because you are so attached to that. The more stronger attachment you have, the stronger fear of losing that, stronger fear of being separated from that. And then when you do separate from that, when you do lose that object or your attachments, craving, the pain is much more stronger. On the other hand, less attachment, you have less fear of losing them, less fear of being separated from them. And even when you do lose them, you have less pain. So, first, yeah, okay, not to go so much. So that is the craving or attachment, and craving, when you have this kind of attachment or craving, you never feel satisfied, no matter how much you have, When you have little, you feel, I would be happy if I have 100,000. And when you have 100,000, you will feel, I will be happy because of your attachment and craving, because you are not satisfied. The craving is that you are not satisfied, you want better and more. So then you feel, I would be happy if I could have 1 million. Once you have 1 million, still you are not happy. Then your craving wants, if I have 1 billion, I would be happy. And then you have billion, then you will still not be happy. You still feel that because you still have craving, that attachment you're having, as long as you have that, then you think, if I have trillion, I will be happy. And that it never leads to a sense of contentment and happiness, as long as you have that craving. On the other hand, if you don't have craving, even if you have very little, you can still be quite happy, satisfied with that. Even sometimes we might struggle physically because of not having enough physical discomfort. But on mental level, you can still be very happy, content, satisfied. And as I mentioned many times, you see that all over the world. Some of the most happy people are in those people in those villages who live very simple lives, very little, with very little. Physically they have less. Many of them might not have access to health, even schools. All these things. No cars, like in the old days. No phone, no electricity. But those were much more happier than we are now in the way we have all this, much more. So sense of happiness, inner happiness, contentment come through within, not from outside. When you have less craving, you have more inner peace, more sense of contentment, more inner joy. So that is the craving. So it gives rise to the craving. Okay. Then that is the eighth link, the craving. Okay. Next, from relation, taking delight, clinging, and persistent clinging comes an unwillingness to let go. So when you have attachment and craving, if we don't apply some kind of practice, antidotes to reduce that, to overcome that craving become more stronger and stronger. And then with that become stronger, that you are unwilling to let it go, the object of the craving, the object of the attachments, whether it is the pleasant feelings or whether it is the objects of that feelings. And with repeated wish in your mind, may I never be parted from those dear and delightful forms or the objects, So You don't want to lose that. You don't want to let it go. And not only you don't want to lose, you don't want to go. You develop a strong sense of grasping and clinging very strongly, thinking, may I never be separated or apart from those dear and delightful objects. So that is increasing in the level of the craving and attachments. And that become, here is translated appropriations, but in many other translations is a grasping. So again, different translation, you can see many other translation, you might see grasping, craving and grasping. Here the translation appropriations. That is what we mean by craving causes appropriations. So then that craving lead to the grasping. That is the ninth link. If you take care of a craving, it will not lead to the grasping through practice, meditations, antidotes. But when you don't take care of that, then that craving become increased, become more and more stronger, become more and more intensify. And when that happens, then it becomes grasping. That's the ninth link. Okay. Such wishing give rise to rebirth producing actions by the means of body, speech, and mind. This is what means by appropriation called becomings. So then 10 link is what is called as becoming. Sometimes you see different terms like existence, becoming same. And so what is through the craving and grasping, so in the consciousness, we were talking that before when you act, when you create karma, or when you engage in the actions, either through body, speech, mind, all of them, the moment you create that actions, that imprint is left in the consciousness or planted in the consciousness. So consciousness is carrying that karmic seed or the potentials. At the time of death, that karmic potential or seed is activated by the craving and grasping. It's like in the field, the consciousness like the field, you have planted something and it hasn't got any water, moisture, so it hasn't grown. But then it started to get water, whether it rains or you water it, and with other conditions, maybe the heat, right amount of heat, maybe fertilizers, whatever different condition that need. And then when that condition are met, that seed that you have planted in the garden is ready to produce the result, the sprout. Is now next, any moment the sprout can come out. Okay, are you ready? So before the sprout was not ready to come because it's dry. Seed is there, but it is dry because conditions are not come together. Now all the condition, the water, the heat, fertilizer come now all fully potentialized. So to produce the next very moment, the sprout is ready to come. Similarly here, similarly that way, the karmic seed is like that seed in the field of consciousness that you have been carrying, which hasn't met the conditions. At the time of death, then you meet that condition by craving and grasping is the conditions. The craving and the grasping at the time of death is like the water, like the heat, like the fertilizer, the conditions that make ripen that karmic seed, fully potentialized, fully activated to produce the next rebirth. And that is what is called becoming. because it's becoming that it has fully potentialized to produce the result, a new life, new rebirth any moment. That's the becoming, the 10th link. Are we clear? Yeah. You understand what it means, the becomings. Okay. What is, yes?
So, the karmic seed, which is characterized by grasping and holding, is
Aggravated by them.
aggravated by them.
Activated. Activated.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what yeah.
Yeah.
Activated.
Mm-hmm.
So, so there's always, what specificity is there in which seed comes into that activation, or is there? It's just what there is at your death and what you're carrying and what you think.
Generally speaking, we are carrying all kind of karmic potential, karmic seed, good, bad, very, very bad, very, very good, so, all different karmics. And normally at the time of death, it is mentioned, whatever karmics, how you live your life. If you live very negatively, negative karma will more likely to manifest at that time. If you live more compassionate, more virtuous kind, one of those virtuous karma is more likely to manifest at that time. So how we live our life will primarily affect that, in this, which karma, in other words, whichever karma is more strong. And whichever karma is more strong means in this lifetime, what kind of karma you engage in strongly, virtuous, non-virtuous, that could have strong impact at that time. If they are equal, then which one you created first, and so then there are many certain other conditions. But normally, generally, whatever is more strong in you, that will most likely to manifest in that.
And can that be colored by actions that you take at the time of death?
Yes, one can change that if one apply the practice meditations. Maybe at that of time, maybe anger could arise, strong anger, strong bitter, strong resentments. All this can and that can affect the karma negatively. But if someone has tools, practice through applying those tools, practice meditation, if they can reduce the anger, they can overcome the anger, the bitterness, resentment, or whatever those different negative strong feelings, that if we can reduce that, then it can change, and then instead of negative karma, another positive karma could manifest, at that time. Yeah. So that is the becoming is the karmic seed that you have planted during the third link in the consciousness that has been fully activated by the craving and grasping. And here when we are talking about becoming and being activated by craving and grasping, we are talking about the time of death. We are not talking now. At the moment, we can still grasping and craving and grasping. Those can also create new karma and also activate different karmic seed, but we are not talking about this becoming. It's specifically at the time of death, before your death, specifically at that time. Okay. That is why the very next moment is going to be the 11th link, the rebirth. at the moment, we still have craving and grasping, and we also activate some of karmic seed, but next moment is not rebirth, So this karmic seed that has been activated, craving and grasping, and become the 10th link, becoming, it means at the time of death, which is ready to produce the new life at the next moment. So that's what we have to distinguish. Not all craving and grasping lead to this becoming the 12, the 9, the 10 link. Okay. So we are talking very specific time at the time of death. The formations of 5 aggregates born from such actions is what is meant by becoming cause birth. So, once your karma to take new life or rebirth is being activated by craving and grasping, fully activated at the time of death, becoming, and then next, is, then through the portal, then you take a rebirth in terms of birth from the mother's womb. Then there's a conception. The moment the conception happens, the parents' sperm and eggs come together, fertilizers, and the consciousness enter, and when all that there, then the 5 aggregates are there. The 5 aggregates. So the parents' sperm and eggs is the physical aggregates. At that time, it's just been embroiled, sperm and eggs, and their consciousness are enter, and with the consciousness, then there is feeling, discriminating mind, concept and factor and consciousness. So the 5 aggregates has all come together. That formation of 5 aggregates is known as the birth, the 11th link. So birth here doesn't mean coming out of mother's womb. It happened much more earlier. Within the mother's womb, the moment consciousness enters the sperm and the eggs. Okay. Normally, of course, in our ordinary world, we talk about birth when it comes out of the mother's womb. But here, as it mentioned, formation of 5 aggregates when it comes together is that when that happens is when the consciousness enters sperm and the eggs, fertilizes. That's when that, and from that the birth have started. Even it hasn't come out of the mother's womb. So that is what it means, becoming caused birth. And then maturations of the development of aggregates form from the birth, and this integration is what meant by birth, cause, aging, and death. And from the very moment of the birth, from the very moment there's a conceptions, from that very moment, aging starts. Okay. As I mentioned, as we discussed before, when you talk about aging, there's a progressive aging and this deteriorating agings. Progressive aging has already started. From that very moment, the conception happens. So each year, month, each weeks, day by day, minute by minute, that we're aging. And then you reach certain point, then we have deteriorating agings, where our body started to now become weak and break down and cannot function well as before. Our organs, the body started to, and sometimes our mind also started to become more and more unclear, having not sharp memories, not having sharp ability to think quickly, do things that we were able to do earlier, so that is part of the agings, of course, sometimes they can be due to illness, but also even you don't have particular illness due to the aging, those things happens. That is sign of aging, so deterioration. That's what aging's. And then when your consciousness separate from your body and leave your body, that is what we call death, disintegrations. Disintegration in the sense the consciousness, there's no more consciousness in the body. The consciousness has left the body. And so your body become corpse, no more alive. And that is what we call death. So that is what it means by birth leading to aging and death. As long as we have such birth that's driven by the karma and the delusions, you cannot escape death and aging and death. One cannot escape aging and death as long as your birth is result of karma and the delusions. But when you are free from the karma and the delusions, then even you have birth, you can have birth without aging and death, free from aging and death. Arhats can have, birth without aging and death. Highly bodhisattvas and Buddhas, they have birth without aging and death. But as long as we are samsara rebirth, then aging and death, one cannot stop. The way to stop, the way to end aging and death by ending such samsara rebirth. Otherwise, whether you like it or not, we just have to learn how to accept it. Be okay with that. That's the way to deal with it. There's no way out of it. If something you cannot, something you cannot avoid, you have to learn to embrace it. Be okay with that. Be happy with that. If it can be avoided, then of course you can try to avoid it. You don't have to embrace it. If something undesirable, something unpleasant. But if something is unavoidable, and in this case it is unavoidable, as long as you have some sort of birth, aging, and death, sickness, and all others are part of that. So since you cannot avoid that until you are free from that, then we have to learn to embrace and be okay and be happy with aging, facing death, and all of this. If you embrace, if you learn to make friends with that, if you learn to be okay with that, you suffer less. You suffer mentally, emotionally, less pain, less suffering. If we don't accept that, if we don't, embrace that, if we try to fight against this, something we cannot fight against, then it will be very, very painful emotionally, mentally. Physically, discomfort is going to happen whether you accept, not accept, whether you embrace, not embrace, whether you make friend with that, not friend with that. Physical discomfort, it would not change. But what can make difference is how you deal with that mentally, emotionally. Whether you suffer mentally, emotionally so much, whether you suffer so much, whether you experience so much pain or not, it depends on that kind of attitude and training. And so, yeah. And so, and how can we end such samsaric rebirth? By ending the karma and delusions. You stop creating in karma, contaminated karma. How can we stop creating contaminated karma? By stopping the delusions. When there is no more delusion, there is no more karma to be contaminated karma to create it due to those delusions. How can we overcome the delusions? Not only kind of reduce them, but to overcome them completely, permanently, is by overcoming the very root of all this delusion, the ignorance, the first link, the ignorance. How can we overcome the ignorance? By cultivating the wisdom, realizing the ultimate reality, the ultimate truth of the self and all phenomena. Once we develop the wisdom that understands, that realize the ultimate truth of self and all phenomena, then that will destroy the ignorance. When ignorance is destroyed, there's no more attachment and anger arising due to that ignorance. When there's no more attachment and anger arising, there's no more arising other delusions. When there's no more arising of those delusions, there's no more action created, which is motivated by one of those delusions. And then there's no more karma to be contaminated karma to be created. If there's no more karma created, then there's no more result of such karma, samsara rebirth. If there's no more samsara rebirth, then there's no more aging and death. And that is end to the aging and death. Okay. Thus, this 12-fold dependent arising. So we just went to the 12-fold dependent arising, starting with the ignorance, ending with the aging and death. Those are the 12 link or 12-fold dependent arising, which come from several different causes. So again, we have to take attention here, which says several different causes, meaning many different causes, not just one causes. Okay? It's important to be and from several, again, not just one condition, but several different conditions. And also, again, here what we understand, cause and condition, two different things. Okay, and we talked about previously in terms of external outer dependent arising. The seed is the cause, and the 5, 6 elements such as the water, the ground, the heat, the space, the air, and all of those are the conditions, cause and conditions. Here, when we talk about internal dependent link, the ignorance, the first three, the ignorance, the karma, the actions, and the imprint of that karma within the consciousness are like the cause. And the conditions are those craving and graspings. And becoming so those internal causes, not only one cause, many causes, not only one condition, many conditions. And it is important to understand that because sometimes, again, if we have that realization, we will have better understandings. Sometime in our life, things happens. We experience a lot of challenges, obstacles, difficulties. And a lot of time, we tend to point to one single cause and blame everything on there. Why things are going wrong in my life. Why I'm experiencing this pain. Why am I experiencing these challenges, difficulty, obstacles? We tend to pinpoint on one he or she or that one cause. But in reality, it's only one of the conditions, it's only one of those causes. There are many other causes and conditions. if you realize, if you are awareness of that, there are so many causes and conditions that lead to these circumstances, these obstacles, these challenges. It's not one, then you don't blame to just one single cause or conditions or single persons. If you don't do that, then you have less anger and negative feeling towards that. But when we blame one person's or one person's actions as a one cause instead of many cause and many conditions one, then all your negative energy is directed towards one thing. And then you have strong negative energies, and strong anger, strong hatred, strong ill feeling, strong harsh mind, strong. And it makes different, but when you realize there's multiple cause and conditions, then your negative energy is kind of divert, what do you call, the word I'm trying to find. Dissipates, yeah, dissipates, and so then it's not so intense. It's not intense directed towards one particular, and so then it's less intense. Your whatever feeling, harsh feeling, is not so strong. So here then, from several conditions, is neither permanent nor impermanent. So again, this can be understood in, if we talk from emptiness point of view, from ultimate point of view, is neither permanent, neither is impermanent. From emptiness point of view, so-called permanent, impermanent, a dualistic mind, is imputed by delusional mind that try to distinguish all differently in that way, So from ultimate, just in emptiness, there's no permanent, there's no impermanent. In emptiness, everything's equal. Therefore, it says in emptiness, one taste. You find that quite often terms description in many of the teachings, or that in emptiness is all one taste. Meaning in emptiness is all equal. There's no black, no white. There's no virtues, there's no non-virtues. There's no male, there's no females. There's no you, there's no me. In emptiness, there's no virtues, there's no non-virtues. There's no, moral, immoral. There's no enlightenment. There's no sentient beings. There's no nirvana, there's no samsara. They all are equal, same in emptiness. So we can understand. So therefore, in emptiness is neither permanent nor impermanent. It's neither compounded nor uncompounded. It's not without any cause and condition. It's also not an experience and not something inexhaustible, something distractible, something that ceases. Has proceeded from time immemorial without discontinuing, like the flow of rivers. So that is more easy way of explaining. But here I can Kamala Shila explain slightly different. And so here he tried to explain what this means, trying to explain the middle way. When you say it's permanent or when you say impermanent, then it is not the middle way. It's like either permanent or either impermanent. It seems like it's like there's no middle you choose. It has to be either permanent or non-impermanent. Permanent, impermanent. It feels like there's no middle, But here he's saying there's a middle way. There's the middle way, and finding the middle way And of course, those dependent arisings, conditional dependent arisings, such as, whether it's the outer dependent arising or internal dependent arising, they are not permanent, neither permanent. They are not permanent because they are ever changing. Okay? They are ever changing. They are transitory. So it's not permanent. Are we clear? Something which constantly changing, something that is temporary, transitory cannot be permanent. So therefore it's not permanent. Okay? Not impermanent. This 12 link, depending arising that, is not a impermanent because the continuity is always there. It keeps on continuity. There's one lead to another, and there's continuity, never ending continuity. And from that perspective, from the continuity perspective, then it's not impermanent. Because that continuity doesn't change. There is continuity continue to go. It's not that it's continuity one time and then there's no continuity and then there is another continuity. There's no breaking that the continuity is always going. Therefore, it's not impermanent. And therefore, in some scriptures and practice teaching, sometimes you find a term like, this premortal mind, clear light mind, premortal mind, or fundamental mind is permanent. Sometimes you find that kind of terms, descriptions. What it means is that continuity is always there. So it's permanent internal continuity. From that perspective. It's not a permanent instant unchanging, because the mind keep on changing. But internal continuity is always there. And from there. So that is why, therefore, is neither permanent nor impermanent. Are we clear? And by understanding is neither permanent, neither impermanent, then you find more middle way. Not grasping the permanent, not grasping the impermanent. Otherwise, we can be grasping to the impermanent. So to let go of grasping, so then not to have that. It's neither compounded, nor uncompounded. It is not uncompounded because, again, the 12 link and the consciousness all come through depending on many cause conditions, because coming together, gathering or compounding or aggregating many cause and conditions, it comes, therefore it's not uncompounded because it's compounded. Okay. But is neither compounded in a sense, it's not compounded because it's not compounded or gathered or aggregated by through the mind of the creations. So it is negating this idea of some of the earlier school of thoughts with Buddhism, where they have there's a creator God, whatever different name you give, Brahman, Ishvara, Shiva, Vishnu, whatever different God. But basically, there's a creator God, and then the creator God had this mind, oh, I want to create the world. I want to create this world. And through, after following that thought, first that thought, the wish to create, following that thought, then they believe, then they said, then the God created everything. And so therefore the God compounded everything, bring all together, aggregated. There through that created the world and then created the being in the world. Okay. And so here what the Buddha is saying, there's no such compounded. It's uncompounded. It's not compounded because there's no such compounded, because there's no creator God. Thereby, since there's no creator God, then there's no creator God having the thought to create. And by having that thought to create and then creating it. So again, that is what it meant by not compounded. Even though it's being compounded with causing many other cause and condition, but it's not compounded by such thoughts of the creator God. And so again, by seeing is neither compounded, neither non-compounded, then again, trying to find a middle way. If not without any cause and conditions, and of course, all this, the 12 link, dependent arising, it's not without cause and condition. They all depend on cause and condition. Each of them have many cause and conditions. Ignorance have cause and condition. The actions, karmic formation of cause and conditions. The consciousness have cause and conditions, and each of those have many cause and conditions that lead to that. If there is no cause and condition, there wouldn't be any transformation change. Down story, it will change it. The reason there is change, this is down story, is because of cause and conditions. When there is change in cause and conditions or the potential, then it changes, So therefore, it's not without any cause and conditions. It's not an experiences, Again, is not without any experiences. In a sense, again, creator God, who's experience, who create his creation, who experience that his creations. Do you get it? So there is no, basically here, experience it means someone created God who is experiencing all of those creation, including the 12 link of that. So there is no such agent or subject. Okay. Is without exhaustible. It is not something exhaustible. And it is not something exhaustible means all these dependent links depend on its cause and conditions. It comes into existence by cause and conditions, is created by cause and conditions, and that is cannot be exhaustible by such self-existing self, inherent existing self. So it's not something exhaustible. It's not something exhaustible or finish it or cease it by inherent existing self, because there is no inherent existing self. And so therefore there is, but instead depend on cause condition. Something distractible. Something distractible means, it is in the it should be not distractible. Something distractible. Okay. Because as long as there's cause and conditions, then it does not distract. It cannot be destroyed. As long as there is cause and condition, it continues there. The moment the cause and condition decay, then the result decays. But as long as there is cause and conditions, then it cannot be decayed. Therefore, that's where I find. So I think, yeah, the note here, which is where is before that is not something exhaustible. So you have to bring not here too, not something distractible. So that is why it is not something distractible, because as long as there is the cause and conditions, then the result will be continue to be there. And therefore it's not something distractible. Or not something that cease, and it is not cease, because it does not cease by itself, without depending on the cause and conditions that lead to that cease. So the cease does not happen by itself. So therefore it's not something cease. It's not ceasing because it cannot cease by itself. It depends on cause and conditions. It's unable to cease by itself, just like it is unable to become distractible by itself, by depending. Has processed from the time immemorable, and the continuity, has processed time immemorable. So from our mind and the samsara is beginningless. It has been processed from the time immemorable. When did the mind start? When did the samsara start? There's no beginning. So that is what I mean, proceed from the time immemorable, from the beginningless time. There is no beginning to the time, there's end to the samsara. There's no beginning to the samsara, but there's end to the samsara. Without discontinuity, it is without discontinuity because there's continuity, because the moment the cause cease, that very moment, the result come together, just like we mentioned before. Also in the Sutra, they also mentioned before, like the two scales. Did you get it? And simultaneously, the moment the cause ceases, that moment the result comes. The moment the seed ceases to be seized, that very moment simultaneously it becomes sprout. It's not that the seed seeds first and there is time and then sprout comes, but it's in other words, also we talk about the life and death. It's not you die, your consciousness separate from your mind, and then there's time before you have birth. The moment consciousness separate from this body, that moment another new life is taken simultaneously. So therefore there is continuity. So therefore it is not without this continuity. Like flow of rivers, the flow of rivers, there's always continuity, nowadays it's not sure. Nowadays, many of those rivers doesn't flow anymore. There's no continuity of flow anymore. So then the 12-fold dependent arisings, which come from variety, many causes, and from variety of condition, many causes and conditions. I can just like before. Is neither permanent nor impermanent, is neither compounded nor uncompounded, is not without cause and conditions. All condition is not experience, is not something in a something exhaustible, something distractible, or something that cease has indeed proceeded from time immemorial without discontinuity, like flow of rivers. Nevertheless, there are four links that serve as the cause or factor for in comparison subsuming the 12-fold arising. What are those four links? They are ignorance, craving, karma, and consciousness. So how does this serve as the cause or factors, to bring those 12 link? So consciousness functions as a cause by having the nature of seed. Karma functions as a cause by having the nature of field. Ignorance and the craving function as a cause by having the nature of afflictions. So craving also have the craving as well as the grasping. Ignoring, craving, and grasping are the afflictive emotions. Mm. So maybe if we can give an example, I don't know. The ignorance is like a farmer who plant the seed. Okay. Ignorance is like the farmer who plant the seed. And then that is the first link. Second link, the karma is like the seed that farmer is planting. To whom the field of consciousness, the karma is planted into the consciousness. Okay. So the farmer, the farmer of ignorance plant the seed of karma in the field of consciousness. And the craving and the grasping and other delusions, especially craving and graspings, are like the fertilizer, the water, the heat, light that activate the seed in the field of consciousness. And so coming together of that, then that it produced the result. Those four links, those are the in terms of 12 link, 6 of them are cause and the 6 of them are result. And so, ignorance, karma, consciousness, craving, graspings, and the becoming are the cause. And so, in terms of this four link, it's described here. The grasping is kind of contained within the craving together with that, and becoming with the karma, the karmic seed that has been fully activated. So it can be 6 or 4. When it's 4, then craving and grasping come together, karma and becoming more together. That's why here it says 4 links as the cause or factors. Okay. But like in many other scriptures or commentary, you find 6 as being cause and 6 as result, among 12 link. Then the other 6 as a result of, name and form, 6 sense factors, 6 sense follow this, contact, the feelings, and the birth and the aging and death. Those 6 are the result. Karma and afflictions. So this is the main thing, karma and afflictions. Cause the seed of consciousness to grow. The seed in the consciousness to grow. Your actions and afflictive emotions, such as craving, grasping, and other afflictive emotion, is that cause the seed of the karma in the consciousness to grow. Here, karma functions as a field for the seed of consciousness. Craving, most thing that as mentioned, is like the water, fertilizers, especially most in the seed of consciousness. Ignorance sow the seed of consciousness, ignorance like the farmer who sow the seed of consciousness. Seed into the consciousness of consciousness. Without those conditions, the seed of consciousness does not develop. So, without those cause and conditions, then there wouldn't be those results. The samsaric 5 aggregates, name and form, samsaric birth. Without those samsaric birth, then there wouldn't be the samsaric sense faculties, samsaric contact, samsaric feelings, and birth and death, all of that. So, but as long as there's those cause and condition, then such result will be produced. So today maybe we will stop here, and I think maybe it might take one more or maybe 2 to finish. Yes, please.
It sounds to me like we are in present time always experiencing past. The causes and the conditions, the causes at least, the karmic conditions of our past. Something happens, it's because there's a karma for that. And the conditions in the present time exist to allow that karma to ripen. But all of that is coming from back there somewhere. It just seems like to some extent we are you shouldn't use the term observer, but nevertheless, we are an observer of all of that stuff. I mean, and we become attached, to the idea of being an observer but we're not. But all of that seems to be a foment from the past.
Past and present.
Yeah, the past coming into the present, exactly. But
not only the past, but also your present, your actions also affect.
But those are good. They affect our cause and conditions, or they affect the future karma.
No, present action, present experience as well. That is where cause and condition come together. When we talk about cause, we are talking past, karmic cause.
Exactly.
When you talk about condition, is a condition, what kind of condition we create at the moment? Present. So in terms of past karmic cause or karmic seed, I have all kind of karmic seed.
Right.
And what I experience and how much I experience, it depends on my present conditions, my actions, my attitudes, all of that.
Which come from where?
Which come from present. It is,
But
I have the at the moment I have the decisions to stop now or let continue the discussions. I have the present decision, I can make it. Depending on that, it can affect us differently. Maybe you might, if we go too far, you might become impatient, frustrated, then be angry, or upset, or unhappy. So that happens again. It's based on my present conditions. My present condition, what decision I take. Present conditions, what kind of attitude I have, or what kind of attitude I hold, depending on what kind of action I take. That is very important to understand. Otherwise, I think then you have no power to change. You know, um, and that is why I wanted to go this Sutra, because here Buddha distinguished so in this Sutra distinguished so many times cause and conditions, cause and conditions. You know, and especially when he give example of first starting with the outer dependent arising, what is the cause and what are the conditions, and then applying that to the internal dependent arisings. And so, you know, and that is where when we have not correct understanding, then we think, oh, it's all karma, karma. We can't just blame karma. There is the karma from the past, but also there is our present actions, decisions, attitude.
But our present conditions are also karmic. But we're not, but we have choice. We have choice of how we deal with the conditions.
Yeah, with the conditions are not necessarily all the past. Otherwise, then we have no choice. The cause is past, conditions are because of past. So it is just we are just following the flow of that. But the karma played the past role, but the condition is present. It's not something to do with the past, but is in the moment, what kind of decision we make, what kind of action we engage, what kind of attitude. And so coming together with those two, then have a result.
But isn't our ability to make those decisions, don't they have some karmic basis?
I wouldn't say that. If we think that way, then I don't see the cause and condition, the reason to differentiate as two things. Also, you see in some other prayers, I think in Heart Sutra, there is a dispelling of obstacles in part of that practice. Do the past karma and immediate cause and conditions, and made this and this. So that there is a difference do the past karma and immediate cause and immediate conditions. Or immediate conditions, there's two things that need to come together. So if we say even the condition of past, then there's no reason to distinguish those two things, past karma and immediate conditions. And also that is the one thing difference the Buddha distinguished, because otherwise the explanation very similar. If everything is past karma, even every condition, not only the cause, even the condition, whether what decision I make or not make it, or if it's all based on karma, then past, then you have no control. And then that is very similar to some of the school of thought that was before Buddha came, and Buddha rejected that idea because they says you are born in certain families as certain caste, and you are that. That's what it is. That is who you are. Is your past karma condition? Everything's past. You cannot change this. You have to be that. And Buddha rejected that, and he said you can change. Because you are born in a tailor family, you don't have to be tailor. Because you are born in a farming family, you don't have to be a farmer. Because you are born in a fisherman, you don't have to be a fisherman all your life. You can become a priest. You can become a warrior. That was one of the earliest thought of karma. Is you are born as a priest, Brahman, and you are Brahman, and you are born as a labor, such as a tailor or cleaning, that is who you are, is your karma. And you cannot become a priest. You cannot become a warrior. And so and Buddha rejected that completely. He says, you are born as a farmer, still you can become a priest. You can still become a warrior. You can all be that. And then when he was asked, then if that is the case, then don't you also talk about the karma? Don't you also you also talk about karma in the past? So how does it different from here? Then he made this distinguish. There's karma, but also it depends on your conditions, your present actions. And that is where the difference comes. Yes, please.
So it really comes down to your free will, that you have the free will to decide how you're going to react or not react or to your karma.
Yeah, I don't know exactly free will, because I think the free will seems to be, it seems come some, again, some kind of philosophy or some kind of, and I don't know whether that has similar exactly, but definitely you have the choice
Right.
to make this decision or that decisions, to take actions or not take action, to react, not react, respond, not respond, how to respond, how to deal, not deal, and all of that, you do have the choice to do that so yeah, I think maybe next time.
So is that where the ignorance comes in, when you don't know how to react to it?
Yeah, sometimes it's due to it
Or
not
wisdom.
having the right wisdom.
Right, and if you have the wisdom, then you will make the right choices, right?
Yeah. If we have the right wisdom, then we will be able to make the right choices and right decisions. Not having those wisdom, and then we are unable to make the right decision all the time. Yeah, but definitely I would like to go a little bit to clarify a little bit, maybe next week, little bit on that. Even though we did actually, but sometimes you hear and then it just go, and then I still didn't hear.
It's right there. So as always, we dedicate the merit from listening to these teachings and grappling with the ideas to beings on all prayer lists everywhere. But on our particular prayer list, those suffering from obstacles, Adrian, John, B, Mary Jane, Javier, Mary Jo, 7 dogs and owner, Luis, Zepeda, Kathleen, Matt V, Seth Brown, and Alexandra. Those with illness, Terry, Yeshi the dog, Lucky the dog, Hillary B, Barlona Conklin, or is that Barbara? Gail, Patty and Bill, Astrid, Stella, Rolf, Sarah H, and Alejandro G. And those who have died recently, Yolanda, the snake in the road, Matt G, and John B.
Yeah, I'm going to go more detail next time, but just to point, it is not only due to our decisions. Okay, because it's not only due to the present condition. There are 2 things: past karma and present conditions. So that is where we have to take in both considerations. And that is again And maybe we might clear, maybe I might put a little bit more.
We'll stay tuned.
Food for thought.
Mhm.
And we'll do our dedication prayers if John can figure out how to make them come up this time.
We're a cappella here. We've all got little books. Relax, Jen.
We'll go ahead and use the books on Tribe
Okay.
for the Zoom. people.
Sorry for Zoom people, sorry. So our dedication prayers. Due to the merit of these virtuous
Virtuous
actions,
actions.
we attend steady in the Guru Buddha,
And
and
we
lead all living beings without exceptions into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow. May man afterwards not diminish, but increase. Amen. Long life prayer for His Holiness the Dalai Lama. The wish granting, wish fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world. To the incomparably kind intensity of the Pacific. May all of your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. And the prayer for the swift return or finding of Lama Zopa Rinpoche. Peerless teachers,
and the children of victorious ones, darkness, brightly with us, victorious blossom fathers, sons, along the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of infinite lands. Gifts bestowed the virtue and goodness and accomplishments rare here and now. Quoting and spreading the many expressions and complicated meanings, through explanation and notice. You are the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable venerable liberty to your manifest. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the soul gateway through which all infinite happiness merge. And for other living beings to sustain and hearted peace, whatever they have lost. Nevertheless, forgiving those seeking truth of the lessons of the creator goals, and the great way of the mighty God to children victorious ones. Let us smile over reincarnation, swiftly dim the glory of the Lord Jesus of disciples. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. Good night. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Geshe-la. Thank you. Thank you, John and Eloise.
Nice effort, Jess.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Geshe-la. Thank you, John. Thank you, Eloise.
Thank you so much.